Okay, so bar contract. So for those of you who have Little Mushroom Catering doing your bar, this is a great document for you, both to help explain some of the preliminary things that you need to do, like SOP and PAL, but also goes through just some of our basic rules. So the first section talks about your special occasions permit. Super easy. Just go online to the AGCO, create your account, fill out your information. It's a wedding, so it's a private event. You know, you're not having 400 random people that you don't know show up to drink your booze. So it keeps things easy. And yeah, so just making sure that you have your SOP and that you keep your original receipts from all the alcohol that you purchase. So before you start purchasing alcohol for your event, you need to have your permit, and you need to take that permit with you when you buy your alcohol, okay? Because they need to track all of that for you. It'll explain, you know, sale versus no sale, all that kind of stuff for you in your bar contract. Making sure your responsible person is actually a responsible person and not someone who's going to get trashed at the wedding. A lot of couples will put themselves as one of the responsible people. Not usually a great idea, because normally you get rather drunk at your own wedding. So making sure that it's somebody who might only have a couple glasses of wine at dinner, or, you know, check with your coordinator. Potentially they could be that person for you or whatever, because they shouldn't be drinking, all that kind of stuff. So just making sure that it's somebody who is actually going to be responsible, just in case an inspector or police officer were to come on site for your wedding, okay? PAL insurance. Super important to have this. A lot of our venues are very specific about how much you have to purchase, like if it's 1 million, 2 million, or 5 million coverage. So check your contracts with them and make sure that you're getting the right amount. If your regular insurance provider does not provide PAL insurance, you can go through our guy at Urban Herb, or you can just go to palinsurance.ca and do it right on their website as well. If you are doing a private residence wedding, you don't have to get a special occasions permit. They actually, I don't even think will issue you one if it's on your own property, but you still should get party and alcohol liability insurance, because that will cover you for if anything negative related to alcohol service or partying happens and there's some kind of lashback, is that a word? Backlash, there we go. Or, sorry guys. Or like lawsuit or anything like that, your PAL insurance covers you for any of that kind of stuff, okay? And then we just ask that you send those to us with the rest of your wedding package stuff, so that we have copies of them in our folder, our file for you, but also so that if your venue, especially like I know Steckley, asks us to send them to them. So instead of them bugging us, we can just be like, here you go, it's done. Outside alcohol, this is something that happens very often, and it's usually your parents. So, or your bridal party. So please, if you guys are coming early to set up, or if you're sending friends or bridal party or parents or whatever to set up early, or to do pictures on site, first look, anything like that, please don't bring booze with you. If you want us to have a bartender there to have the bar open early for your people who are doing pictures early, we can arrange for that. But if you are somewhere that you have to have a permit, most likely the venue themselves will not be happy about you bringing in outside alcohol, but also they can decide that they're not going to let you have your bar open or whatever. There's lots of stuff around that. So like I said, it's usually the moms who bring in their own bottle of white wine or whatever, or groomsmen with flasks or something like that. Just please ask them to, you know, just get something from the bar, or pre-arrange with us to have a bartender on site for you early, so that can happen if that's what you want. So chilling and transportation. This is something that we used to do for any of our couples that did not have refrigeration. Unfortunately, because we have actually gotten so busy and our space is becoming more and more limiting, this is just going to be for Brantview and Steckley couples, because we have to transport their alcohol for them according to their venues. And so you can bring if you're a Steckley couple or Brantview couple, you can bring your alcohol to us the Thursday before your wedding between our business hours. We'll chill it and we'll transport it the day of. If you have a venue that doesn't have refrigeration and you want some assistance with this, let us know and we can try to figure out if there's another option for you, like a refrigerated truck or whatever. Or again, if we just need to make sure that we're there a little bit earlier on the day of to get everything chilling, that's something Erica can kind of talk with you about to ensure that everything goes smoothly with your bar. So day of consumption, honestly, when you get your SOP, get it to start at 11 in the morning and end at 2 in the morning. Those are the earliest and latest times you can have them go. And just to cover your butts for the day, 11 and 2. Because that way, if you decide before the ceremony that you need a quick glass of wine or a beer, or if your dad comes to the bar and goes, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and they're there doing pictures and he says, I'd like a Coors Light, please. And our bartenders have to say, I'm sorry, sir, we're not allowed to serve you until 5 because that's when the SOP starts. And he goes, well, I bought all this booze. And true story, guys. Every wedding. So just have it start at 11, have it end at 2, and then that way you're covered for the whole day. And then that way, if you guys want to drink, we can legally serve it to you at any point in the day. If you have your SOP start at 5 at night, we cannot open anything until 5 at night, okay? Just to make that clear. Wine at dinner. This is one that we get asked questions about a lot. If you would like wine on the tables, the bar needs to be closed. So if you want us to just put red and white on the table and the guests can kind of serve themselves, your bar has to be shut down, okay? Vice versa, if you'd like the bar to stay open the whole time, then we can do wine service. So we can send bartending and serving staff around to pour wine as people would like it. This actually also helps you a lot with your waste because we're not just opening a whole bunch of bottles of wine and putting them out. If you don't have a big wine drinking crowd, wine service might be the better budget option for you anyway, because you're not going to have as much waste with your wine. So yeah, just keep in mind you can't have self-serve and smart serve alcohol happening at the same time, okay? So rules of service just again goes through no smart serve and self-serve at the same time. We have a general rule that we don't do shots and doubles. That is because 90% of our venues don't allow us to do shots and doubles anyway. Again, if you've got a cultural or like traditional shot that you do in your family or your religion or whatever, we can make amendments to that. If it's private residence wedding, of course, it's ultimately up to you what you'd like us to serve. Just make sure that that stuff is communicated to Erica so that she can make those notes in your file so that our bartenders aren't saying no when they could be saying yes, okay? But definitely there are, most of our venues, it's not okay. So if you're a venue couple, then you're probably not allowed to have them anyway. We do also have a 2-drink limit per person at a time, so they can get a drink for themselves and their date or their guest or whatever. But if somebody comes to the table or somebody comes to the bar and says, I'm getting drinks for my whole table, I need 8 beers, we're not going to hand them 8 beers. Mostly for safety reasons, but also because we really have no idea if that's actually for their whole table or if he's drinking all 8 of those beers. So that's when we would pull a server or another bartender, everything would be on a tray, and we would bring it out to the table for them, okay? So we just give 2 drinks out at a time. After 10 p.m., our bartenders do switch over, they do a soft switch over to plastics from glassware. So if you had glassware earlier in the evening, they'll switch over to plastic to, mostly again for safety reasons. A lot of girls like to get on the dance floor and kick off their shoes. And if you've got a beer bottle or a wine glass and somebody, does a crazy move and smashes that everywhere, it's just a little bit of mayhem. So again, most of our venues do ask that we do this anyway, but just as a general rule, by 10 o'clock, we like to switch over. So if somebody's really hardcore on their scotch or their wine and they, demand to keep their glass, that's totally fine. We just don't want the majority of people out on the dance floor dancing around with glassware, okay? All of our staff who are 18 or older are required to be Smart Serve certified. So if at any time they feel like a guest has just had too much and they need a break or they need to not have any more, we reserve the right to make that call. Basically, we don't want anybody getting out of hand. So, if a guest at any point comes behind the bar as well, which unfortunately happens a lot, to get their own drink or to, I'm just getting a glass of wine for the bride. You've hired our bartenders, So we're gonna make sure that we get a glass of wine for the bride and we can hand it to you and you can take it to her. So we reserve the right to either temporarily shut down the bar or permanently shut it down. It's not what we wanna do. So basically just make sure your guests are not dumb or jerks. A lot of times if people are getting really out of hand, then if we do temporarily shut the bar down, we only do it at a time that kind of makes sense. So we might be like, oh, it's speeches. Let's close the bar window. Let's not let people have a drink for 20 minutes, half an hour, just honestly so that it can kind of catch up with them and they can be like, whoa, I don't need another drink. I'm actually good, right? Like, let's get some water in people and make sure that, that they remember what they did the night before. So, so staff well-being, if at any point in time our staff feel like people are being belligerent or harassing them or anything along those lines, we do have the right, again, to remove staff if need be. Again, we hope this never has to happen. But we will, basically our process is to come and let the client, let you guys know that we're having an issue with somebody and for them to be spoken with. If it continues, we ask for them to be removed first. And if you guys decide you'd rather have them there than the staff there, then that's fine. Then we'll remove a staff member if we need to. Drinking water is a big one for private residents or barns and stuff like that. If you're at a Little Mushroom regular preferred venue, don't worry about this because we know that we're good, we're taken care of there. But making sure that we have healthy, potable drinking water like easily accessible to us for the evening. A lot of people forget about this. They either think, oh, well, I'm used to drinking this well water all the time. Well, that well might not be able to do 150 people in the middle of July, right? Or it might have a weird smell, or it might be yellow when we put it in a carafe on the table. You might be used to drinking it, but your guests might not be so fond of it. So if you do not have that healthy drinkable water on site, we can bring that on site for you. There is an extra charge, but we can bring individual water bottles. We can bring the big blue Culligan guys, and then you just know it's taken care of, okay? So making sure that that's communicated early. And then this is another question a lot of people ask often. At the end of the evening, what happens with your booze? So our bartenders are responsible for organizing everything for you. They put all the empties together, all the open stuff, all the stuff that's returnable to the beer store and LCBO. It's all organized for you with your SOP, your receipts, and your PAL insurance. That all gets given back to you, but you or someone that you have designated or assigned is responsible for the removal of that stuff. So I know that a lot of times weddings are a time where a lot of people, everybody, especially those who are close to the couple, are drinking heavily. So a lot of our couples will rent a small U-Haul, a van. If they own a pickup truck or something like that that has the cover over the back, they'll just kind of be like, give the keys to the bartender, we load it up for them, and then it can stay parked at your venue overnight and be picked up the next day. So Victoria Park allows this, Stackley allows this, Brantview allows this. So yeah, if that's an option for you, it's a great option. You can also kind of throw some of your like do-it-yourself decor in there and whatever, and not have to worry about it the night of. And then others will say, oh, my parents don't drink much or whatever. We'll just put it in their vehicle. So yeah, so please remember that alcohol service to your guests is a privilege, and it is at the discretion of our SmartServe staff. If someone's acting inappropriately or is believed to be intoxicated, if they're like puking or tripping or can't order a drink, then we reserve the right to refuse service to them, and we do this for everyone's best interest, yours, theirs, our staff's. You've hired our bar staff to give you professional and safe service so that your guests can all enjoy the celebration and remember it the next day, okay? Any questions about bar service at all? Good? Awesome. Everybody have their phone on them? Take your phone out. Zoom into this screen. Take a picture. This is one of the most, if you can. If not, you're gonna get it in the video. But these are your suggested alcohol amounts. This is how you calculate it, okay? Now, it does say the average is 6 to 8. 6 to 8 drinks per person. Some of my clients, when I tell them that, they go, whoa, that's way too low. Others go, whoa, that's way too high. You guys will know your crowd best, okay? But if your bar is open from 5 to 1 or 3 to midnight or whatever, Usually people are gonna have about a drink an hour. Now grandma might have 2 glasses of wine at dinner most, but one of your groomsmen is probably gonna pound 12 beers, okay? So it balances out 6 to 8 drinks per person. So yeah, this is a good way to kind of calculate it. Rounding up is never a bad thing because you can always return stuff that hasn't been opened. Keep your beer to limited amounts of variety. Please don't get 6 or 8 different kinds of beer. It's gonna take forever for people to make a decision. You're gonna end up running out of 1 or 2 kinds early on in the night, and then you're gonna have all this beer that people don't really wanna drink. So 2 to 3 is perfect for beer. Same with spirits. Don't feel the need to get 3 different types of vodka. It's a free bar for the most part, okay? Your guests can drink the vodka that you buy. Just don't worry about it. So you've got that. If we're not the ones that are doing your bar service, we do have the alcohol release policy. So it's important to note that if you have friends or an additional bar service company or somebody that are doing your bar, they are responsible for the whole bar and beverage service. That includes clearing glassware. That includes setting it up and taking it down and all of that kind of stuff. A lot of times we have that cousin who wants to bartend for their cousin's wedding, and all they want to do is stand behind the bar, and they want to do shots with the guests, and they don't want to load in and out anything, and they don't ever want to clear a glass. That can't happen because we're not going to pick up after them. I get strict about this. Making sure that that's all taken care of. Usually if you've got a wedding of about 150 people, you want to have 2 bartenders that are always behind the bar plus an additional person that's out clearing. Okay, so if any of you aren't getting bar service through us, keep that in mind. Our outside food waiver. So again, this is for those of you who are maybe doing your own cocktail hour platters, or you're bringing in a dessert from family members or from another bakery or something. We do have our outside food waiver. That's important to note that, if we have to cut your cake, we're gonna charge you a cake cutting fee. We'd rather know that kind of stuff ahead of time as well than have it sprung on us the day of. So if grandma's making cannolis, please tell her not to come to the caterers with her big box of cannolis and be like, here you go, because we're not responsible for it. So grandma's gonna have to set up her own cannolis or give it to a bridesmaid or somebody else. And then leftover food. This is another question we get a lot. Any food that is left over from your wedding that is still safe to serve, we will package up for you. We package it in biodegradable containers, so you don't have to bring your own Tupperwares if you don't want to, because again, that's one less thing for you to worry about on the day of the wedding. But we'll package it up for you. We'll throw it in the fridge at the venue or in a cooler or whatever, and then at the end of the night, you guys can take that away with you and drunk eat it in your hotel room or use it for your brunch the next day or whatever. That is just the stuff that's safe to serve. So sometimes things are not packaged up for you for a reason. If it's been sitting out for too long in the heat or whatever, we're gonna compost it if it's not gonna be safe to serve to you. This food waiver should be signed before your wedding if you would like the food packaged up for you. And it basically just says that you're not gonna leave it in the trunk of your car for 3 weeks and then eat it and then try to sue us for food poisoning. It's literally what it says.